Oh, how I die 1,000 deaths for you. I must profess how my heart aches. Oh, you green-tipped beauty, how I love thee so. Illuminating sun, uplifting me with each morning's rise. Vitamin delicious, vitamin delight. Without you, I am in darkness. Without you, I am lost. Without you, I am blind. Forever yours. Letter here for Mrs. Anahoria. Hello friends, John the Board Game Chap here. Today we're going to be looking at the little tour de force that is Seiji Kanai's love letter from AEG. Now the Queen has been arrested for high treason and her daughter the Princess is utterly crestfallen and she's locked herself away in her chambers. It is up to you and a bunch of other suitors to try and raise her spirits and woo her from her womb. Is she going to leave you in the gutter? Or is Eros going to sink his big pointy arrow into your juicy buttocks? Let's find out. Now, chances are, even if you're not that heavily into games, you may well have heard of this one. Love Letter is what we call a micro game. Now, it wasn't a new concept from when it was made. Microgames can be dated back from the 70s and 80s, where war games were condensed into a small scale that could be fit into someone's pocket and taken with them anywhere. However, what Love Letter did was revitalise this genre. They brought it back and they changed the premise, the idea that a game could be made with as few components as possible. You see, take away the rulebook and some of the reference cards in here, and Love Letter is simply comprised of 16 cards and a few of these little wooden scoring tokens. That is it. Now, what Love Letter proposed was a question to the industry. Could a great game be made with just few components as possible? In order for a game to be good, did it have to be big, lavish, and a feast for the senses? Well, Love Letter threw its hat in the ring back in 2012, and it was aiming to go toe-to-toe with the big boys. Now, the game is set in the backdrop of a romantic melodrama during the Renaissance. We already know that the Queen's been arrested and that her beloved daughter has locked herself in her room, utterly distraught. Now, it's up to us to write her letters of love, to rouse her emotions and become her true love. Now, your wants and desires are unclear. You could be doing it out of the most purest of intentions. You might be doing it as a bet amongst your peers, or you just want to better your social stature. Or you just fancy a little bit of rumpy-pumpy, because after all, what else were women good for back then? Grace O'Malley, a pirate queen of Ireland of the 16th century, ruled an enormous fleet. She would lead her army into numerous battles, and once, allegedly, her fleet was under attack within an hour of having given birth to her third child. She then proceeded to get up and lead the counterattack. An hour after she Grace O'Malley, you were one badass. Anyway, back to the game. So you're going to be playing multiple rounds of the exact same framework. Now, if you win the round, the Princess is going to give you one of these little tokens of affection. Earn enough of these, and then it's going to be move on over, overweight generic Italian plumber man with a moustache, because you've just bagged yourself a princess. Each round plays out with everyone having a single character card. It's up to you to try and keep your character's identity secret from everybody else. On your turn, you simply pick up a card and you play a card and you carry out whatever the description it says on it. So, for example, if I were to play this guard, I would be allowed to guess somebody else's identity. If I'm correct, I eliminate them from the round. If I'm incorrect, play just carries on. So that's one way of being victorious in a round, is to eliminate everybody else and be the last man standing. However, if everybody's got the one card and the whole draw pile has been exhausted, then all the remaining players are going to reveal their card identity, and whichever card has the higher number printed on it wins the round. Generally speaking, if you have a card with a high number printed on it, it's going to have a pretty weak ability. However, later on in the game, it's going to become more beneficial if you reach that final round stage. Let's have a look at all the card's abilities. Now, we've already seen what the guard can do. Next up, we have Tom Pemfrey, aka the Angry Sun from Iron Fist. He allows you to look at somebody else when you play the Priest card. Now we seem to have the love child of David Warner and Charles Dance as the Baron. When you play him, you compare your hand with somebody else's. Whoever has the lower amount is automatically eliminated. Next is Maisie Williams playing the Handmaid. She offers protection for a whole turn, so nobody can play abilities on you. Then we have Kenneth Branagh, aka Gilderoy Lockhart, for any of you under the age of 25. He allows you to get rid of your hand or get rid of somebody else's hand, particularly useful if you know someone is the princess. Following that act, we have Zorro, who seems to be retired and has let himself go a little bit. When you play the king, you swap hands with somebody else. Up next is Faye Dunaway as the Countess. Doesn't really do anything other than offer a lot of points. And finally, we have Catherine Zeta-Jones as the Princess, the most valuable of all at 8 points. However, if you ever lose her, you are automatically eliminated. Oh no! Love Letter is pretty much a stalwart in anybody's collection. It's particularly appealing to casual gamers because of how light it is. Now, it's light on a number of levels. Firstly, it's light on the purse strings. It's very, very cheap to buy. Also, it is light in terms of the duration of the game. It does not last long at all. It's also light in terms of its size and weight, making it very portable. You can take this game pretty much anywhere with you. And finally, the mechanics and gameplay are really light as well. It's so easy to learn. Now, these are generally factors in all kinds of microgames out there, so you can't rely on these alone in order to make a game good. So, what else is there that makes Love Letter so appealing? There are 3 primary factors here that combine really well to make Love Letter a pretty damn good game. For me, it is the meshing together of deduction, luck, and player interaction. Firstly, deduction. This game teaches this premise really well. You see, there's so few cards in the game, and as you play the game, for each card that is discarded, it remains on display. Therefore, players can start to make educated guesses. They can eliminate options, making their guesses all the more well thought through. Say, for an example, someone makes an accusation, they can rule out, say, the Baron because they know that already all of them have been played. The second factor is luck, and luck plays a huge factor in this game. You can be desperately unlucky and be eliminated from the round without even taking a turn. And in theory, we dislike the idea of player elimination, but here it works because you know that you're going to be granted another attempt very soon. You can also be at the mercy of the draw pile. You can be in a really weak position, desperately hoping that what you draw is going to help keep you in the game. Alternatively, you could be in a really powerful position and you know exactly what your opponent has, but the card you have in your hand just does not help. You both sweat in anticipation as you hope you draw that killer card that you need to win the round. Can you ride the luck as well, knowing that if you are out in the lead, everybody is going to do whatever they can to team together to eliminate you from the round? Can you surf the wave of luck when you're drawn the princess right at the start, knowing she's really difficult to keep hold of the longer the round goes on? And finally we have interaction, and this game has it oozing out of every orifice. If you saw my previous review on Astro Drive, you would know that I was pretty scathing about its lack of player interaction. You see, I love games that elicit a lot of emotional responses, because for me, those are going to be the memories that stick, that last with me. Now the interaction here is a lot. If you haven't been eliminated from the round, you're always involved, even if it's not your turn, because you're keeping track of the other players. And most importantly, you're going to be trying to get into each other's heads. You see, there was one important rule that I refrained from telling you about, and that is at the start of each round, you remove a card from it. Its identity is hidden from all the players. Nobody knows what it is. This can affect the deduction, because if you get all the way to that last go before you just reveal cards and compare points, you might have the opportunity to guess what that one card is. You use your deduction of everything that's been played so far, but you're not completely certain of what it is. You might have an idea of what they have, but is it what they have, or was that card removed at the start of the round? Then you start to use your luck. It's 50-50, who's it going to be? But you can mitigate that luck. Try and get into the head of your opponent, scrutinise them, hopefully giving you that valuable tell that you need in order to win the round. Now, one thing that I like to do is to accuse somebody of having a princess when I already have her in my hand. You see, I like to try to throw other people off so that they don't guess what I'm having. They're going, why would he guess the princess if he already has it? What a silly man. I'm never going to guess that he has a princess. What a little double bluff. I hope my friends don't watch this video. Well, I know they don't, because nobody out there does. All of which mold together to create a game that is full of intrigue and entertainment. Now, it's not full-on interaction compared to games like The Resistance, where everyone is fighting like on a playground or in a supply teacher's classroom or the members of the Houses of Parliament, but there's enough there to keep the game ticking over. Consider it more jovial conflict rather than full-on face stabbings. With the onus on luck, the gameplay is pretty balanced. Yes, everybody uses deduction to a degree, but you're also going to need intuition. Using profound probability and quick calculation skills, aka your gut, it can be utilised to help swing things in your favour. So often you go on a hot streak, you gather momentum, and then you firmly believe that the stars and planets are aligned and that they've provided you with mystical powers to make you an oracle as comparable of power with the gods themselves. I'm going to play a guard, and I think that you have a princess. You're gonna meet the gods when I'm done with you! Then there's the theme. This is a periodic piece set in the line of games of the Tempest series from AEG. Now, I'll admit it's not the most appetizing realm of mine, but at least it's different from zombies, dungeons, space, and zombie dungeons in space. Also, if this one doesn't float your boat, there are enough renditions of different love letters out there, including Love Letter Adventure Time, Love Letter The Hobbit, Love Letter Batman, and the obligatory Cthulhu-themed Lovecraft Letter. Also, between rounds, I like to recount the different letters that you send the princess. On one such round where you win, you could have written the equivalent of a sonnet that would have even made Shakespeare weak at the knees. Juxtapose that with the next round, and you're eliminated before even having a turn of your own. Means that you've pretty much written the equivalent of a letter that goes along like this. We apologise to interrupt this review to bring you an instalment of the micro episode John and the Carrot. Honey, I'm home. Oh, man, you wouldn't believe the day I had it. Oh my God! How could you do this to me? And with my own brother. Now, you'll remember at the beginning of my review, I asked whether or not if this game could compete with the big boys. Now, I find the game enjoyable, it's good on all player counts, and there's nothing really wrong with the design that I can think of. The only issue really is that it is a victim of its own limitations. I mean, it is merely a featherweight compared to its big brother heavyweight counterparts. I mean, yes, it is impressive with what can be achieved with so little, but when you see this game being played, it's not a feast for the eyes, you're not drawn into it. It's just okay, and so therefore this game just lacks the depth, it lacks the complexities, and it just lacks the knockout blow that its big brother counterparts possess. So having said all of that, should you purchase this game? Well, the answer to that question is yes. Yes, you should, my friend. You see, this game is perfect for a number of ideal situations. It's great if you're travelling, it's wonderful as part of a filler night, or you might have just had a really long day at work and you're just too knackered to play a game that lasts more than 30 minutes. Also, there are enough repackagings of this theme that there's going to be a version of it that appeals to someone. Now get out of my house. I'm grieving here. I loved you.